And at this time, we'll ask our Mayor Pro-Tem, Buddy Fowler, if he'll lead us in a word of prayer. And if you will, remove your hats. And I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, Buddy.
Thank you, Mayor. Let us bow our heads. Our Father, we're truly thankful to be gathered here tonight. We're thankful for all those that's in attendance. Father, we ask you to be with them and bless them. Father, we ask also that you be with our troops that are overseas, bring them home safely, be with them and their families in time of need, and Father, during the time of the holidays, make it joyous for all of them. Father, we ask you to be with this council tonight as we do our swearing-in ceremony and take our oath of office to serve 4 more years. Father, we ask you bless each and every one of us as we leave and go our way, that we may do your bidding while we're out. Father, we also ask that you continue to be with us and use us to better serve you. In your most precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I ask Councilman Don Helms if he'll lead us in our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May be seated. Okay, do we have, is Tom or Sandy Monroe here? I thought I saw you there. If you would come up front, please. As we do each month, we have a home of the month, and it's the ones that want to get out and work hard in the dirt. Now, I'm not sure which one does it. Most time there's one that does it right. And anyway, I had one a couple of months ago said, yes, she does it, but I just bring her what she tells me to bring her. So the way it worked. But anyway, this is a certificate of recognition to the home of the month. This certificate is awarded to Tom and Sandy Monroe at 316 North Shore Drive by the Beautification and Appearance Committee on this 3rd day of December, and it is signed by one of the council and the chairman of the Beautification Committee, which is Nelva R. Albury. And we congratulate and we appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, sir. Okay, and the next is business of the month. Where'd he go? There he is. And I don't know how many of you have been to Xanadu Market, but there's one side of it on the left-hand side that it's delicious and it can be good for you and all that. Now, on the other side, on the right-hand side, it is extremely delicious, but I can't say it's all good for you now. I'll be fair with you, but I'll tell you what. And I don't know, if you go Wednesday and Saturday, they have donuts. I used to say nothing could beat a Krispy Kreme, but those donuts can beat a Krispy Kreme. So anyway, if you get a chance, go by Xanadu. And like I say, and then we eat dinner there quite a bit. And so they do have some delicious meals up there. And when you eat, it does taste like it's all fresh. So we give our compliments. And that is to you. It's not to Earl. So. But anyway, this certificate of recognition for the business of the month. Their certificate is awarded to Xanadu Market by the town of Surf City Parks and Recreation on this 3rd day of December 2019. Once again signed by one of the council and by Miss Nelva R. Albury. So we appreciate it.
Thank you so
much. And
much.
thank you, sir. Congratulations. Okay, for the next one, I'm going to step around front here. As you know, we lost our planner back in, right just before the storm, I believe it was, around right after the hurricane, wasn't it? Yes. And so we've been looking for a while Okay, sorry. Amy Kimes. Okay, Amy's from down east, if you want to know. Amy was born and raised in southeastern Beaufort County, North Carolina, and is currently residing in Surf City, North Carolina. She has graduated from North Carolina State University in 2001 in bio and ag engineering with an environmental concentration. Amy is also a licensed professional engineer in the state of North Carolina. This makes us very fortunate to have a planner with this degree. So we're looking forward to that part. She began work with the North Carolina Department of Transportation in 2001. She has held various positions, including roadside environmental technician, assistant district engineer, assistant resident engineer. She has also spent a year with North Carolina Department of Environmental and Natural Resources in the state stormwater program, which I think will be a big benefit to the town of Surf City. In 2010, she moved to the private sector, working with AMEC Engineering as a quality assurance representative for Camp Lejeune on the new entry road. In 2013, Amy returned to the public sector as a project engineer for the Wilmington Metropolitan Planning Organization, where she was later promoted to senior project engineer. In her most recent role, she has been responsible for management of federal transportation funds, revenue of coordination of traffic impact analysis, and management of traffic count program. Amy also provided technical-related transportation plan and general transportation-related information to WMPO, members, jurisdiction staff, the planning boards, and council and commissioners as needed. Amy is very grateful to have the opportunity to continue using her planning knowledge in the community in which she resides. And we're very fortunate to have her, along with her husband, Chad, which many of you probably already know, and her daughter, Emma. And Emma attends Surf City Elementary School. So we're glad to have them. We're especially glad to have them in the community. We were tickled when she moved in, and now we're really tickled that she's gone to work with us. So, Amy, we appreciate it, and I think this is hers. Yeah, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Okay. All right, one more lady, Miss Susan Blanton. If you will come forward, please. Once again, Susan used to live in Surf City, and then she moved over onto the mainland. And she said, but every day during the summer, she ends up driving back to the beach, going on the beach, right, Susan?
That's correct.
But anyway, Susan, this past summer, Susan Blanton was on the beach, and she heard a young boy yelling for assistance for his drowning father. Susan, a former firefighter and EMT in New York, along with her daughter, were able to pull the man from the water. And concerned about the neck injuries, Susan secured his neck and started rescue breaths as the gentleman was unconscious and not breathing. Another bystander started chest compressions. This continued until emergency personnel arrived on the scene. The gentleman regained consciousness and was transported to New Hanover Hospital. And if it wasn't for the fast acting of Susan and her daughter and the gentleman who assisted with the CPR that day, Glenn Ayel could have been the third drowning victim of the week in this area. Now, it wasn't the third one in Surf City, but it was the third one in this area. And luckily, Surf City did not lose one. And it was all because of Susan and her fast thinking. And she just... this is what our community is all about, is people like Susan.
Thank you.
And we love you. Thank you a lot. Okay, so when you see Susan around, make sure you give her a compliment and tell her how much we thank her. Okay. Thank you,
Thank you,
ma'am. I
Mayor.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, did Jamie ever show up? Jamie Platt?
Yeah, he's here.
Oh, there he is. Okay, he did show up. All right.
Coming from Wilmington, traffic got on the
Okay. This is Jamie Platt, and he's with TI Engineering, who is doing our beach project. So he's going to give us some information on our sand haul. Appreciate it, Jamie.
Thank you very much, Mayor Medlin. Just going to give you guys a brief for, I don't know how much information you guys want to hear, how much you know already, but maybe I'll start back in the very beginning and kind of bring everybody up to the same page as far as what has happened so far and where we're going with each of the two projects. Hurricane Florence impacted in September of 2018 and did significant damage to most of the island here. We almost immediately went out and performed post-storm surveys to do analysis on how much sand loss there was. Saw significant losses to the dune and to the berm on the beach. The berm is the flat area in front of the dune that then slopes down to the ocean. And we decided that we should probably go ahead and initiate some kind of project to rebuild the dune as best we can. We applied for a general permit through CAMA regulatory agencies to do an emergency truck haul project. Started talking with FEMA about releasing funds to restore the dune back to where it was, and began designing the project to do a dune truck haul project. The funding mechanism from FEMA came back less than desirable. They only gave us about a quarter of the funds that we applied for, and so we had to truncate the project down to a much, much smaller area than what we initially wanted to do. That's where the designation of the imminent critical areas came into play, because we had a very, very limited budget to determine where we can place sand. We looked at the 12 and 14-foot contours on the dune and looked at an aerial photograph and took measurements from that contour, which shows basically the top of the dune line to structures, and did that analysis for the entire stretch of beach. When we looked at this, we wanted to do the most good we could with the money we had from FEMA. So we looked for houses that had at least four structures in a row that were in bad shape. There are isolated houses out there that are up to 2 or 3 houses that are together that are sticking out far, but we looked for at least 4 or 5 houses in a row that were in pretty bad shape and addressed, I think, 11 total areas. Area 11, which we started with last year at the very, very north end, was in pretty bad shape at the very north end of the town, and it was important to preserve town infrastructure in that area: roads, plumbing, buried electrical lines, water sources, and things like that. So of the money that we were given, 60% of that money went to protect the town's infrastructure at the very north end. If we were to have breaches in that area and destroy the road and infrastructure, the cost to rebuild that was going to be significant. So given a small amount of money from FEMA and then taking 60% of that to protect town infrastructure at the very northern end of the beach, we were left with even smaller budget to perform sand haul to 10 other areas. Those are areas 1 through 10 that we started last year. We began hauling sand with CM Mitchell, I believe it was in February, and initially had 2 staging areas. One was up on Broadway, one was at Kingston Avenue. Sand was coming from the S.T. Wooten sand mine on 421 in Wilmington, and everything was going great. Trucks were moving, getting good stockpiles of sand, and then we hit an issue with CAMA where there were reports of some pebbles that were in the fill that we were bringing to the beach. CAMA came out, shut the whole project down immediately because they said that we were trucking incompatible material. Went through 2 or 3 days of analysis of trying to figure out what the solution was to this problem. They decided the best thing to do was to screen every single truck of sand that came to the beach. So this shut down our ability to haul to 2 separate locations. We had to isolate it all to Broadway Street and set up an on-site screening machine, which every single dump truck would dump into. It would sieve the material and deposit it into a new stockpile of screened sand. So that cut CM Mitchell's operation down in half, because suddenly half of the trucks are not able to work because we have to suddenly screen every single grain of sand that comes to the beach. Unfortunately, with the permit that we were given, the general permit, there is an environmental moratorium date of April 30th, where you cannot place sand on the beach after that because of sea turtle nesting. So starting in February, having the project stalled because of incompatible material defined by CAMA for a couple of pebbles, and having to screen everything significantly slowed our progress, and we did as much as we could. We finished areas 11, 10, and 9 last spring before the sea turtle moratorium kicked in and we had to stop hauling sand. We were able to haul some sand to areas in the southern areas, or southern portion of the beach. Areas 1, 2, and 3, and I believe 7 and 8 all received a couple of truckloads of sand here and there. Some of that was from the initial get-go when we were hauling from 2 different sites. Some of it was from finishing up with area 8 in the spring and being able to move on to a couple other small areas before the environmental moratorium came in and completely shut the project down. So April 30th, everything had to be off the beach, stop the truck haul in its tracks. Over the summer, because the general permit was for a one-time use, we had to reinitiate the permitting phase with CAMA, and we applied for and received the permits to place sand along the entire stretch of beach for North Topsail. Concurrent with this, what's that? Surf City. Or Surf City, I'm sorry. That was a terrible mistake. Surf City. Concurrent with this, we also filed an appeal with FEMA to get the rest of the money released to us to do the full truck haul project for the entire length of beach. FEMA is a government agency and moves very, 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 very slowly. And as of, I believe it was October 28th, we finally got word that it had gone back to their scientist for a reevaluation of the project. So 6 months, not really any word. Finally, it gets sent back for reevaluation on October 28th, and haven't heard anything from that since. Going forward, because we had the permit and we had some leftover money to finish out what we had started last spring, we went forward and continued on with the truck haul project using a new borrow site, 421 sand off of Highway 421 that takes the dredged material and puts it directly into a screening hopper and screens the material as it's dredged and stockpiled at the mine. So CAMA approved that modification to the permit, got the full permit to do truck haul to the entire stretch of beach, but the funding mechanism still is not in place to do sand along the entire stretch of oceanfront shoreline in Surf City. So that being said, we started on September 18th, I believe. The environmental moratoriums end on November 15th, so November 16th is technically the first day that you're allowed to haul sand. That fell on a Saturday. CM Mitchell began hauling sand on November 18th of this year and have completed areas 1, 2, 3, or they're working in 3, and they have completed area 8 and are working in area 7. So they're working stockpiling sand at Kinston Street, working trucks from both the south end and north end, hauling sand, placing it, and filling towards each other. The hope is that in the next couple of weeks, they're moving pretty darn quickly. They're probably, with this phase, I'm guessing would be wrapping up sometime in the beginning of January. The hope is that we have FEMA money released to us by then, and they can complete the truck haul project for the entire length of the beach, the shoreline in Surf City, and repair some of the areas up in area up at the very north end in area 11 that were scarped pretty badly, and a lot of the dune that we placed there last year is already gone from the Hurricane Dorian, and then also from the northeaster that we had a couple of weeks ago, which hit this area pretty badly. So that's kind of the status update on the truck haul project. Things are moving forward. We're out there almost every single day. They've moved a lot of sand. I think right before Thanksgiving, my volume calculation was they had hauled 19,000 cubic yards of sand. This project for this phase is 69,000 yards total, so they're getting there very quickly. The other project that we have been working on, well, I guess that's all for the truck haul, big update on that. The other project that we have been working on concurrently with this and permitting is a dredging project from Banks Channel that would build a berm out in front of this dune system. This is a new project for Surf City, and it's been a little bit of a hassle to try to get it through CAMA and get them on board with everything we've been doing. Started this, it's probably been a year and a half ago now, the permitting process, which involves going out and taking vibra cores from Banks Channel, doing a full geotechnical analysis of those cores to make sure that the sand is compatible. It's grain size analysis, it's calcium carbonate analysis, which basically tells you how much shell is there. You have to determine how much fines are in the sand, and then put all of that information together and show a average of the sand that is dredged from Banks Channel and make sure it's compatible with what is on the beach in Surf City. They call it the native sand, what naturally exists on the beach. So went through that whole analysis, went through environmental analysis to try to limit our impacts to subaquatic vegetation and primary nursery areas inside of Banks Channel. And to help with that, we look at the biological opinions that are in place that the regulatory officials use to decide what impacts, positive or negative, it may have to the environment. We try to fall within the state of North Carolina's programmatic biological opinion, which means we have to stay a little bit further away from the inlet. So we will start, the permit application is to dredge Banks Channel from about what we call Side Channel 1 and Topsail Beach, which is down kind of close to where their water tower is, and dredge Banks Channel all the way up through to, I'm trying to think of a landmark that's nearby, and my mind is gone blank on that, but basically dredging about 20,000 linear feet of channel of Banks Channel to get sand that is compatible with the beach and place it onto the oceanfront shoreline. As we've gone through the permitting process, CAMA has kicked back the entire length of channel because of some incompatible material they're saying at the very north end, and that has limited our initial volume, or reduced our initial volume estimates of about 1.6 million yards in Banks Channel to about 1.3 million yards. We want to keep with the same berm design and beach width that we proposed to you originally, so right now we've added to our permit application trucking in some additional sand to help supplement what we dredge from Banks Channel to get the full volume. So that permit went back in, I think, for the final round of revisions that CAMA requested about a week and a half ago, and I have not heard anything back from her yet saying that it has been deemed officially complete and she can start the 60-day timer on getting the answer back to us. But I'm hoping that by the end of the week I'll hear from her that she is satisfied with the application and will move forward with that permit process. The constructability of this project is a little bit more questionable at this time. Our initial hope was with Topsail Beach doing their nourishment project this winter, we would tag on to the back end of that project and continue up Banks Channel and continue up into Surf City. The timing that Weeks Marine won that bid, that was a very long, arduous permitting process as well, and then the bid process was unsuccessful at first with not getting enough bids, had to put it back out to bid, and finally had the sole bidder of Weeks Marine to bid the project. It kind of shows you the dredge fleet in the U.S. is completely booked with other projects up and down the East Coast. There's still sandy work that's being done in New York. There is jobs that are maintenance jobs through the Corps of Engineers that are being done in New Jersey. We're working on jobs down in Florida and in Georgia right now with Great Lakes Dredging Dock. So the dredge fleet is beyond capacity. They are looking at projects well out into the future. So when Weeks won the bid with Topsail, we began conversations with them and trying to convince them to continue on with this project. And they have shown some interest, but not a whole lot right now. They're bringing two dredges to Topsail Beach, the J.S. Chatchery and the Brinquin. The J.S. Chatchery is a brand new dredge that's on a job right now, and as soon as it finishes that in beginning of January, it's going to come to Topsail and start work there. and then is immediately booked for the Port of Savannah deepening project in Georgia as soon as it finishes Topsail Beach. The Brinquin was scheduled to come in the middle of December to Topsail. However, with Mason Inlet going out to bid, Weeks decided to bid that as well and won that bid. It was awarded by New Hanover County to Weeks Marine last night at their commissioner meeting. And so the Brinquin now is delayed coming to Topsail as well. The Brinquin will be the dredge that has the capability to dig Banks Channel all the way through and place sand in Surf City. The pipeline distance that they need towards when you get up towards the pier is so long they need a booster pump. And talking to them, their holdup right now is that they don't have a booster pump on the East Coast that is available to them. So I think they're trying to look internally to determine if there is a feasible way for them to get a booster pump from the Gulf Coast or the West Coast over here for them to perform that job. But right now that is still kind of up in the air as far as if they will be able to and are wanting to continue on with this project after they finish up with Topsail. So permitting, like I said, should be in place for them to go to work after Topsail Beach is done. It's just a big question mark as to whether they have the capability to do so and the want to do so. For me, it's a no-brainer. You continue on whether you're digging. It's another 1 million cubic yards. You know, it's not that big of a deal for you to just keep adding pipe on and keep the dredge going. But you can't twist their arm but so much and tell them, yes, you will do this job. So we're doing the best we can to convince them of that fact, and that's about the extent of the information I have on that project so far. So that's the two projects, the permitting, what we've done, the update on the berms, and the dune project.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Okay. Now that we got all that out of the way, we'll start with our meeting. We asked that all attendances please set your, might be a little bit late, but I didn't hear any go off anyway. Set your cell phones to silent or vibrate mode. The council offers the public an opportunity to speak during the meeting. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes each and must be directly issue oriented with agenda items for this meeting or an issue upon which the council has control. Citizen speakers will be acknowledged in the order in which they signed up to speak and will address all comments to the board as a whole, not one individual council members. Speakers will address the council for all speakers from the speaker's podium at the front of the room and will begin their remarks by stating their name and address. Discussions between the speakers and members of the audience will not be allowed. Public comment is not intended to require council to answer any impromptu questions. Speakers are expected to be civil in their language and presentation. Any comments where the primary purpose is to promote business or candidacy shall not be allowed. So, in accordance with the council's adopted rules of procedure, council members shall reserve responses, if any, for the council forum on the agenda. Okay, at this time we will bring our agenda up, and is there any questions on the agenda? If not,
Make a
ask
motion
them.
we approve the agenda as presented.
Second. All in favor, raise their hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Next is approval of consent agenda. Items under consent are generally of routine nature. The board may take action to approve or disapprove all items with a single vote. Any item may be withheld from the general action to be discussed and voted upon separate as discretion of the council. Do I have a motion on that?
I make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carried. Okay, at this time, I will call Mr. Steve Paget. He didn't go hide on us, did he?
He's right there.
At this time, we have I'll let you tell them what it's about, then we'll have public hearing.
Well, our streets department, as in the past and currently, been working off of a set of rules, guidelines for the design development of streets that have never been codified. Our ordinance just says that they will do it according to these standards. Some folks at the Council of Government suggested that it would be a good thing for us to get it codified. So we've just simply taken the rules that the town departments have been working off of and gotten them formally codified, or want them formally codified into our town ordinance.
Okay, at this time, I will ask for a motion to go into public hearing. All in favor, raise your hand. We are now in public session, public hearing, and y'all have a chance to speak on it. If you got anything you want to say, just raise your hand. Anybody wanting to speak on the ordinance amendment 2019-9, section 6, 7, streets, dealing with streets? Same thing we've been doing the whole time, but just codifying it?
Yeah, putting it in the ordinance.
Okay. All right. Anybody wanting to speak? One more time. Anybody wanting to speak? If not, have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carried. Public hearing is closed. Thank you, sir. Okay, do you want to approve the ordinance?
I want to make a motion, we approve it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. All right, time for public comment. Turn it over to Miss Stephanie at this time.
Yes, sir. First, we have Mr. Bob Palmer of 2502 South Shore Drive.
You need my name again? No, okay. I was interested on the dunes. The gentleman over there evidently answered my questions. We get the money, we get our sand.
Right.
So I didn't understand how they stopped like 4 houses from me about a week ago. I'm down on the south end, 2500 block, and I didn't understand how come they stopped there and then they went 20 houses up and started up at that end. So that was the only thing I didn't understand.
Yes, sir. This is this is Chris Gibson. He's the head engineer, so.
The way we did this, just so you know, these were done, obviously things have changed because of the northeastern.
Right.
We had, but all of this was done post-Florence. And what we did, we looked at a couple of different aspects to pick where the worst areas were. And that was the distance from the escarpment, where the dune dropped straight off, to the house, and the elevation of the house. So if you were in a situation where you were at elevation 18, you're really high, and the escarpment is 5 feet from your house. Well, pilings are only driven 8 feet in the ground. So if you lost any more, the house is going to tip over.
Right.
So those are the houses we focused on. If you happen to have a house that was in a lower elevation, where we thought that if we had another storm, that it could pass through under your house and not lose the whole structure, then those 2 reasons are the reason we skipped. If you had 20 feet or so of dune out in front of you, you got skipped over because there were people that were worse. Places that we actually had a wash through down on the southern, the one here. We actually skipped over that because the houses were low enough that it would wash through
Right.
the situation and they wouldn't be at risk of collapse. So that's what it was all about, was protecting structural integrity of as many properties as possible with the $5 million, and that was our budget. And we actually, I think the bids that we got in were $4,998,186. We got as close as we absolutely could.
Is there any reason they're not pushing sand anymore like they used to? Years ago, they used to.
It is a rob Peter to pay Paul situation.
Right.
you can invest in that, and that makes you feel good. You've got some push sand. But what you do when you do that is you lower the beach berm. And so when the tide comes up and the waves come up, more energy is on that berm that you just pushed, and it's more likely to erode. And actually, we've seen from the pushes that Surf City did, we actually saw accretion in the north end of Topsail Beach. During storms, we would see hundreds of thousands of yards of sand that would move south with the northeasterly because it was so easily picked up and put into the transport system. And that's in part because of the pushes.
Right.
So by bringing sand in, you put that sand there. If it does erode off of the dune, then it's in the berm, and then that in turn is protection for the dune that's left. So you got to, as my mentor once said, you got to feed the beast.
Yeah.
And the only way to do it is put more sand in.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Melinda Pascal of 1107 South Shore Drive. Yes, ma'am. No problem. Next, we have Miss Patty Gilbride of 8013 8th Street.
Hello, all. I'm really glad to see Mr. Gibson and his associate here. The majority of what I wanted to ask about tonight has to do with the beach project, but I'll get to that in just a sec. Two small little things. I've been speaking at meetings, obviously, before we had a time limit, when we could just yammer on and on and on. And of course, we've had the 3-minute limit, and there's been some talk over the last year or so of maybe increasing that to 5 minutes. And I would like to suggest that you, both the mayor and the council, seriously consider 5 minutes when I understand we don't want people to be overly wordy, but if you do have 2 or 3 subjects that you want to have your once a month say so on, it can be a little tough to squeeze it all in, unless you speak really fast like I sometimes do. But anyway, another thing on communication, I think we've all agreed that we've learned so much about improving our communication, and there is always room for improvement. And I just wanted to offer one more suggestion. We're doing the social media thing, and pretty much everything I see is posted on the website. Stephanie does a great job at keeping things up to date on, I assume it's you, Stephanie, on the website. But I'm wondering about compiling an email list. Recently at the last workshop, I was going to go to it, and I didn't realize that the meeting had been changed. The meeting date and the time had been changed because work was going on at the Welcome Center. So I'm currently not on Facebook, so I don't have a morning feed to look through, and I just didn't even think to look at the website. So I'm thinking there's probably a lot of people that would be interested in having their name on the email list, even people that don't live in Surf City but maybe live in Idaho and just come here on vacation. I would think that probably it would be as quick. I don't want to burden you with any more work, but as quick as a copy and paste of whatever you put on the website, you might be able to slap into a 1,000-person email address, and if people want to opt out, they opt out. So just a suggestion. And I'm not faulting you for missing the meeting, by no means. But on the beach project, what I wanted to ask about was I actually thought that it was a definite that we were going to be dredging on the heels of Topsail Beach. So I'm a little concerned to hear that that may not be the case. But I haven't heard anything about a contingency plan in the event that that falls through, in the event that the dredge has a mechanical problem and we can't get another dredge, in the event that Topsail Beach has an issue and therefore they agree that we're going to follow them and we can't. So, and then we run into turtle season. I know, reading your report that was posted on the website, that we have almost 300 homes that are within the 60-foot setback, and should we have some catastrophic weather event, that means that if those homes, almost 300 homes, are damaged more than 50%, they will not be able to be rebuilt. So you will lose everything. So my question is there a contingency plan for this? Thank you for your time.
Next, we have Miss Sally Edens of 4104 4th Street.
First of all, I'd just like to congratulate all of our new electees and look forward to Surf City putting this rather ugly election behind us. The residents of Surf City have spoken loud and clear, and Mayor Medlin has proven his leadership skills over the 40-some years I've known him. I'm looking forward to Surf City getting back to the business of running Surf City. And again, I congratulate all of our new electees.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
That's all of them?
That's all of them.
Okay. All righty. Looks like it's up to you, Miss Ashley.
I'll try to keep it short and sweet. Just a few updates. For Town Hall, we placed an RFQ out for a construction manager at risk. This RFQ was placed out yesterday on our town website and the state procurement sites. We've already started getting some phone calls of contractors expressing interest and asking questions about this RFQ. We have a deadline set for RFQ submissions of December 20th. We will present a recommendation to council at our January 17th workshop. In between that, reviewing the RFQ responses and doing interviews, checking references, things like that, to ensure that we get a very qualified contractor to build our municipal complex. We're also working on our permit, I do believe, so that we can start clearing land out there for that space. Update on J.H. Batts paving. We met with the developer and NCDOT back before Thanksgiving to discuss J.H. Batts, the paving, waterside development, the stoplight. NCDOT is requiring this developer to install this stoplight pretty much as soon as possible at that intersection. And in order for this developer to do that, they're going to have to widen a portion of J.H. Batts. The town did not. We realized that J.H. Batts is a hot mess and needs to be paved ASAP. However, we do not want to waste your taxpayer dollars and pave that road just so the developer can go back in and tear it up and pave over top of it. So we have worked a deal with the developer where when they come in to do the stoplight and widening of J.H. Batts, then they will pave all of J.H. Batts down to Community Center Drive, and then we will reimburse them for our portion of that. We are not exactly sure when that's going to happen. We've been assured that it will be in the very near future, as there are restrictions on this developer as to how many homes they can build and CO before the stoplight is erected. Also, we've created an additional parking lot. I don't know if you all have noticed, but our Streets, Parks, and Rec staff has been over beside the old Ward building, spreading gravel and so forth. And that's in between the IGA and the old Ward building. This is just going to expand the existing parking that's already over there. And then the hope is once we are done with our FEMA reimbursement for that building, then we will go in there, tear that building down, and expand that parking even more and have all of that parking area connected to one another. So that's a good thing for the public. We also will be closing out one of our Golden Leaf grants with the install of a new shelter over at Nelva Albury Park. If you all are aware, we installed the new playground equipment over there. The last piece of updating that park and getting it back to working order is to install a brand new shelter out there. So hopefully that will be done in the next couple weeks. Lastly, our police department closed out November with their No Shave November fundraiser. They anticipate about $1,200 coming in from that fundraiser, and this money will be used for the police department's Shop with the Cop program that they have, where they identify children that are in need and take these children to our local stores to go shopping for their families for Christmas. So that should be happening in the next couple weeks. And that's all I have.
That's it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, where's Mr. Steve? We'll call him back forward again. And these are very short too.
Next item we have on is we're requesting approval for the town hall site over by Publix. It's just a site plan. It shows where the parking is going to be, the landscaping, everything. We have adequate parking. I didn't see him. I don't know if Charles is here or not. If he had
Yeah,
any
he's
questions.
here somewhere.
Okay. I told him I'd leave
He's
him.
hiding over there.
I'd leave him alone unless you guys had some questions for him. So.
Okay. Anybody got any questions for Charles? Okay. Do I have a motion to?
I make the motion, we approve it.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay.
Rolling on.
Move on.
We've got a site plan, development plan for Tortuga Lane. It's going to be, I think the first thing going in, the pet hospital is going in by the Turtle Hospital, and now we've got a retail office type development going in. Currently, the way they've got it laid out, there's not enough parking for a restaurant there. It would have to be either a retail or mercantile office type thing. But there's other ways to go in there if they chose to put a restaurant in there.
Okay.
It will put an access onto the end of James Avenue through the parking lot for parking lot connectivity. TRC's approved it, planning board's approved it, and now we're asking you guys to approve it.
Do I have a motion?
Motion. Second.
You got a question?
No, sir.
He
All
said
in-
second.
Oh, okay. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Motion carried. All right.
Thank you, folks.
Now you excuse Steve. All right. Next on the agenda is our town attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir, Ms. Bryant.
Today, the League of Municipalities put out their monthly letter, and there's a portion in that letter that refers to a price-fixing lawsuit settlement obtained by the Attorney General's office, and all municipalities are entitled to some money out of that, and I just confirmed, I don't think we filed a claim yet. The deadline to do that is the end of January of next month. So we'll file that claim. I don't know how much money we'll be entitled to, but it pretty much guarantees something. Secondly, the School of Government's Essential of Municipal Government seminar or class, they put that on every election year. It's for newly elected officials and returning elected officials, and I may try to go myself. It's a very good 8:30 to 5:30, kind of takes you through the entire process of government. The closest ones to Surf City are January 30th, it's in Wilmington, and January 31st, it's in New Bern. And lastly, we have some things to discuss in closed session, but lastly, I've been talking with Madam Town Clerk. We'll be getting the easement notices out this week and next week, and then there's a 30-day window, and then to the extent we don't have the easements in hand at the end of that 30 days, we can proceed with the necessary condemnation suits to get those easements.
Okay.
And other than closed session, that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All righty. I guess now we're going to call
Recess.
Huh?
Recess on
What?
the swearing ceremony.
Yeah. You going to do the swearing ceremony? Okay, now we're going to call our judge, Kent Harrell, forward. And we're going to steal the attorney's microphone. Anyway, I don't know how many of you know him. I hope a lot of you didn't get to know him from standing in front of him. But anyway, Kent Harrell, he's a local guy. He was an attorney here for a while, and now he is judge. So he has been very gracious to come and swear us in tonight. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'll tell you that we've got 9 district court judges and 3 superior court judges. I'm one of the superior court judges. But of all 12 judges, I'm the only one that lives in Pender County. So it's an honor for me to be able to come over here tonight and swear in your new town council. So at this time, we will start with Mr. Helms.
To blow some of you's mind, this is my identical twin brother, if you hadn't figured that out by now, and my daughter, Crystal, and my wife, Florence.
If you raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Donald Ray Helms,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear
solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
which are or may be established
which are or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
and that I will endeavor
that I will endeavor
to support, maintain, and defend
to support, maintain, and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of the said state,
not inconsistent with
not inconsistent with
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Dwight Torres. Mr. Torres, congratulations on your election.
Thank you, sir.
If you'll place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Dwight Torres,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers
and to the constitutional powers
and authorities which are or may be established
which are or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
and that I will endeavor
and that I will endeavor
to support, maintain, and defend
to support, maintain, and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with
not inconsistent with
the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. All right, Mr. Fowler, if you'll come around, please. All right. Ms. Fowler, if you'll hold that Bible for him. Mr. Fowler, if you'll place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, William J. Buddy Fowler,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
which are or may be established
which are or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
and that I will endeavor
and that I will endeavor
to support, maintain, and defend
to support, maintain, and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with
not inconsistent with
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. All right, Mr. Mayor.
Well, my wife is not here tonight. She is babysitting the other 3 grandchildren. So anyway, she sent her Bible. And so I'm going to ask my other 5 grandchildren to come up here with me while I get sworn in. How you going to hold the Bible? Okay, come on. Now, if you want,
I'm gonna step right over here.
I know most of you think, "Daggone, he looks mighty young." And the reason I am so young is because of these things right here. I tell you what, they keep you going, but that's what life is all about, is family. And I appreciate it. And I got some more of my family, got my sister, my daughter, supposedly my daughter-in-law, but a daughter as well, and then 2 women that really helped me get through this election. So I appreciate all of them being here. So now I'll get over here next to you.
If you'll place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Douglas Charles Medlin,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United
of
States,
the United States,
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of North Carolina
to the state of North Carolina
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
and to the constitutional powers and authorities
which are or may be established
which are or may be established
for the government thereof,
for the government thereof,
and that I will endeavor
that I will endeavor
to support, maintain, and defend
support, maintain, and defend
the Constitution of said state,
the Constitution of said state,
not inconsistent with
not inconsistent with
the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the United States,
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
to the best of my knowledge and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And thank you, Judge. Appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you a lot.
I'll say just one quick word, if I may.
Yes.
I just met Mr. Torres tonight, but I've known all these other gentlemen for several years. I'm proud to call them good friends, and Surf City is in good hands. In talking to Mr. Torres tonight, with the heart of service that man shows, I think your community is going to be well served. So congratulations to all of you.
Okay, at this time, we've got to go into closed session, so right now we're going to adjourn this meeting until we do what? Recess, excuse me. Recess, yes, right. In fact, we're going to recess it twice tonight, right? We will recess this meeting, and we're going to spend about 30 minutes just messing around, talking to each of you, and eating. Now, they've got a lot of stuff back there to eat, so y'all go eat something here. We can't have it left over. Do what'll happen, all I'm working here tomorrow, get fat and lazy and sleepy and won't be able to work. So anyway, we appreciate each and every one of you coming.